Hey, everybody. Welcome to Reading the Bible to Cats. I don't know why Henry's cracking me up. His pupils are so big, or so dilated. Oh, I have the phone stand on a Kleenex box, so you're seeing part of the Kleenex box. Apologies. Well, I hope you're doing well. I yeah, I'm going to pounce on First Samuel chapter 29, and we'll just pounce on the reading right now. Okay, First Samuel chapter 29. The Philistines gathered all their forces at Aphek, and Israel camped by the spring in Jezreel. As the Philistine rulers marched with their units of hundreds and thousands, David and his men were marching at the rear with Achish. The commanders of the Philistines asked, "What about these Hebrews?" Achish replied, "Is this not David, who was an officer of Saul, king of Israel? Has he already been with me for over a year? And from the day he left Saul until now, I have found no fault in him." But the Philistine commanders were angry with Achish and said, "Send the man back, that he may return to the place you assigned him. He must not go with us into battle, or he will turn against us during the fighting. How better could he regain his master's favor than by taking the heads of our own men? Isn't this the David they sang about in their dances? Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." So Achish called David and said to him, "As surely as the Lord lives, you have been reliable, and I would be pleased to have you serve with me in the army. From the day you came to me until today, I have found no fault in you. But the rulers don't approve of you. Now turn back and go in peace. Do nothing to displease the Philistine rulers." "But what have I done?" asked David. "What have you found against your servant from the day I came to you until now? Why can't I go and fight against the enemies of my lord the king?" Achish answered, "I know that you have been as pleasing in my eyes as an angel of God. Nevertheless, the Philistine commanders have said, 'You must not go up with us into battle.' Now get up early, along with your master's servants who have come with you, and leave in the morning as soon as it is light." So David and his men got up early in the morning to go back to the land of the Philistines, and the Philistines went up to Jezreel. Okay, everyone, that is the end of First Samuel chapter 29. It was kind of short. Um, is there another chapter? Let me see. Sorry, let me look at. Maybe I can read another one. First Samuel 30. Okay, might as well just read. How long is that? Oh, that's a long one. Okay, well, I'll just read it. Um, me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. You. I have to get my voice ready for the reading. Pardon me. Okay, so First Samuel chapter 30. It's too bad Henry's not fulfilling his contract. We're not seeing a face. Oh well. You can just look at his lovely ear. Henry? Okay. Sorry about the Kleenex box. There, that's a little better. He'll turn his face eventually. I'm confident. Okay, so First Samuel chapter 30. David and his men reached Ziklag on the third day. Now, the Amalekites had raided the Negev and Ziklag. They had attacked Ziklag and burned it, and had taken captive the women and everyone else in it, both young and old. They killed none of them, but carried them off as they went on their way. When David and his men reached Ziklag, they found it destroyed by fire and their wives and sons and daughters taken captive. So David and his men wept aloud until they had no strength left to weep. David's two wives had been captured, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. But David found strength in the Lord his God. Then David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Ahimelech, "Bring me the ephod." Ab- Abiathar brought it to him, and David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I pursue this raiding party? Will I overtake them?" "Pursue them," he answered. "You will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue." David and the 600 men with him came to the Besor Valley, where some stayed behind. 200 of them were too exhausted to cross the valley, but David and the other 400 continued the pursuit. They found an Egyptian in a field and brought him to David. They gave him water to drink and food to eat, part of a cake of pressed figs and 2 cakes of raisins. He ate and was revived, for he had not eaten any food or drunk any water for 3 days and 3 nights. David asked him, "Who do you belong to? Where do you come from?" He said, "I'm an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite. My master abandoned me when I became ill 3 days ago. We raided the Negev of the Kerethites, some territory belonging to Judah, and the Negev of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag." David asked him, "Can you lead me down to this raiding party?" He answered, "Swear to me before God that you will not kill me or hand me over to my master, and I will take you down to them." He led David down, and there they were, scattered over the countryside, eating, drinking, and reveling because of the great amount of plunder they had taken from the land of the Philistines and from Judah. David fought them from dusk until the evening of the next day, and none of them got away, except 400 young men who rode off on camels and fled. David recovered everything the Amalekites had taken, including his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, young or old, boy or girl, plunder or anything else they had taken. David brought everything back. He took all the flocks and herds, and his men drove them ahead of the other livestock, saying, "This is David's plunder." Then David came to the 200 men who had been too exhausted to follow him and who were left behind at the Besor Valley. They came out to meet David and the men with him. As David and his men approached, he asked them how they were. But all the evil men and troublemakers among David's followers said, "Because they did not go out with us, we will not share with them the plunder we recovered. However, each man may take his wife and children and go." David replied, "No, my brothers, you must not do that with what the Lord has given us. He has protected us and delivered into our hands the raiding party that came against us. Who will listen to what you say? The share of the man who stayed with the supplies is to be the same as that of him who went down to the battle. all will share alike. David made this a statute and ordinance for Israel from that day to this. When David reached Ziklag, he sent some of the plunder to the elders of Judah, who were his friends, saying, "Here is a gift for you from the plunder of the Lord's enemies." David sent it to those who were in Bethel, Ramoth, Negev, and Jatir, to those in Aurora, Zipmoth, Esthemoa, and Rakel, to those in the towns of the Jerahmeelites and the Kenites, to those in Hormah, Borashan, Athak, and Hebron, and to those in all the other places where he and his men had roamed. Okay, everybody, that's the end of First Samuel 30. Well, that was yeah. Oh, sorry, everybody. I'm distracted by the yellow um the yellow lighting right now. I don't know why it's so yellow. The picture is very yellow. Not sure why. Because it doesn't look yellow in real life. I mean, Henry doesn't look yellow in real life. Oh well, it's kind of, sepia, or like a kind of a relaxing glow. Maybe it's relaxing. Anyway, as what stood out to me about all of this was the raisin cakes. Because I'm not eating a whole lot of sweet stuff. So yeah, that's I hate to say it, that stood out. Verse 12, part of a cake of pressed figs and 2 cakes of raisins. He ate and was revived, for he had not eaten any food or drunk any water for 3 days and 3 nights. Um, yeah, I feel like there are, every now and then raisin cakes are mentioned in the Bible, and I've always been curious about, how they made the cakes of raisins. Um, and a cake of pressed figs. I don't know. It sounds very intriguing. I have like a major sweet tooth. But the other thing that did really stand out to me was how they wept and grieved the losses. I mean, incredible, horrible, horrendous, terrifying losses, with this raiding party that, took captive their wives, their children. It must have been so terrible, and, makes me think of what happened on October 7th. But, the Lord restored them. They weren't harmed, They got back what was taken, and, it reminds me of another verse, and I always forget where it is, but somewhere in the Hebrew Scriptures that the Lord, will restore the years that the locusts have eaten. You know how God kinda does that? He, or I also think of Job, just that theme of loss and, whether, in the case of Job, I mean, he lost his family, he lost his health and his home, and yet he was just so real with God, and then God restored everything. Well, I mean, gave back to him. I mean, his family, his first family obviously went straight to heaven, but I mean, he then had another family. In any case, the Lord does restore restore us, you know, when we sorry everyone, I'm distracted again because Guster's stepping on me. And he's here, let's see if you can hear him purring. He is kneading my neck is what he's doing. Um so as long as he doesn't choke me, I'll be able to speak. Oh, yeah. It's intense. I mean, these chapters are intense, you know? But we see the Lord at work here, you know? Verse 26, the last part, he says, "Here is a gift for you from the plunder of the Lord's enemies." You know? It's, yeah, it's just it's there are people, there are enemies, you know? But like I've said before, our enemies, you know, as the New Testament tells us, um, our warfare isn't against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and wickedness in high places. You know, it's like the spirit behind uh, the people, behind the enemies. You know, it's spiritual warfare, really. But you know, the Bible tells us our weapons are spiritual. You know, praise and worship, loving God, loving others, praying, you know, praying for one another, praying for our enemies. I had a weird dream, by the way. It was, I don't know if it means something. Guess I could share it. Um, let me see how I could. It was this dream where I was somewhere and I encountered like someone who approached me and was like questioning me about um, you know, Palestine or Gaza, and they were wearing, you know, the scarf that the kifa, I think that's what it's called, the kifa. Um, and they approached me, but they were like really earnest and sincere, and it wasn't like they were being aggressive or anything, but they were asking me a question. I don't remember what the question was in the dream, and like they didn't know me. I was a stranger, and they were asking me something about my stance, and it was weird because in the dream, I just had, like, compassion on them, and I just reached out and took their hands and held their hands in mine, and then I just said, and I don't remember what the question was, but I just held their hands, looked them in the eye, and just said, "Well, I'm a Jew, and I believe in a Jewish state, and I'm a Zionist." But it wasn't like I was saying it with love, you know, not and I just felt love for this person. But then, and then I went this is where the dream gets kind of funny because I was going to like the gym or the spa or something, and I was like, "Oh, I have to, you know, get my sauna, go, you know, and go get a sauna." And but then I was like, "Oh no, I think they're, you know, gonna find me or follow me or whatever." But I just I don't know what the dream means, but it was unusual. Um, but you know, I'm just thinking about these things, I guess. But yeah, it was just unusual dream. I'm thinking now of that what happened with it's been in the news, Elmo, you know, the Sesame Street character, how his X or Twitter was hacked, and he some anti-Semitic person, you know, put words in his mouth that were very anti-Semitic. Anyway, everybody, I'm just rambling now. Um, Let me just pray, I guess. Here, listen to Guster purring. Oops, I dropped the microphone. Hold on, you're probably hearing static. Well, never mind. I'll just hold the microphone. Okay, let me just pray. Lord, I don't know what that dream meant, but you do call us to, we're reading about King David and how he fought the Amalekites and all the enemies, and there's a spirit behind all this stuff that's evil that's going on. But we know that we're called to love you, first of all, love you with all our heart, mind, and soul, and love our neighbors as ourselves, and to love our enemies. That Yeshua, Jesus, you call us to love our enemies. So I pray for people who may be caught up in like this, spirit of maybe this Amalekite spirit, this, kind of evil, anti-Semitic spirit. I pray that you would rescue them and show them who you are as the God of Israel, as the God of Jacob, and the God of the Bible, and show them who the true Messiah is, Yeshua, Jesus. And I pray for myself, Lord, because I there are certain things I'm afraid of and certain things I'm not. I'm not afraid of anti-Semitism, but I'm afraid of like evil, and it's creepy out there. But I'm not afraid of people, but I'm afraid of ill health. I'm afraid of disease, basically. I'm afraid of disease. That's like my enemy. And I'm afraid of my own fears, my own thoughts, like just how I self sabotage myself. But uh, I ask for deliverance from those fears, Lord, and I pray for this this weirdness in the world that's very hateful. We just pray for your love to shine into those dark spaces, Lord. And I pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the protection of Israel and people who've been traumatized in Israel, and for the Jewish people all over the world who are facing anti Semitism. And we just ask, Lord, just for your comfort, that you would comfort your people, through your spirit, through your word, through your truth. And I pray for, people to find you in whatever country they live in, whether it's, you know, Iran, Lord. I pray for my friend in Iran, that you would keep her safe and protect her and the students that she teaches art to. I pray you protect all those kids and just the friends I have from Iran and in Iran. And just pray for anyone hurting, because of war in Israel, and the hostages. I pray for their release, Lord, that you would miraculously set them free. And for people in Gaza who may be hurting, or animals, we just lift up all these things to you. And I pray for myself because I don't know, I have my own struggles. And I pray for humor, Lord. I just need to laugh. I don't know. You just have to laugh. Really have to laugh. I need joy and I need funny things in my life. I just need to laugh more. So that's what I pray for, however you want to bring that to pass. And I pray for all the people listening, tuned in. So many sweet people who, tune into this channel, who love animals and take care of cats and dogs, and just I just pray you bless them, Lord, wherever they are, whatever country they're in. I pray you bless them in a special way, Lord. Um, and I lift them all up to you and pray these things in Jesus' name, in Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Amen, everybody. Amen. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I guess that's it. I I will work on, I don't know when I'll work on it, but these videos that I'm doing, I like doing them. I like reading a chapter in the from the Hebrew scriptures and from the New Testament, and then I like kind of chatting because I feel like you're friends and I can just kind of chat. But I do now that I do think I want to do um like a playlist where I just read, like for instance, read through the book of Revelation all the way through, and it would just be, I think I could do that in one video. I don't think Revelation would take longer than an hour. I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't think I could read the book of Genesis in 1 hour or 2 hours. I don't know. But I would like to just read through the books of the Bible without commenting too. Um, but that would, I don't know if I'm ready for that, but maybe I'll start with the book of Revelation. I don't know when. It might be a couple of months down the line, everybody. But at least that's on the back burner for me. Anyway, and I'll keep doing these videos too. Lord willing, and the rivers don't rise. Um, oh, I forgot to pray for people in Texas and Mexico too. Well, I'll say a little prayer. Lord, I pray for the people in Texas and New Mexico who've suffered loss, unimaginable loss. Pray for your comfort, and that somehow supernaturally, through your spirit, you would console and comfort them as only you can do. Pray this in Jesus' name and Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Amen. Okay, everybody, this is a long video, rambling. I'll talk to you later. Bye.